Can you hear me at the back? Never mind. Thank you very much indeed for the invitation, and I'm delighted to talk to you about duct tape and compliance strategies. But before we do, can we just spare a thought for the trials and risks of life on the road? Yes, it's working. I like a good survey. Unlike Mark, I don't tend to Google in the early hours of the morning, but if I do, I'm looking at the DVSA Guide to Maintaining Roadworthiness, or I'm looking at the new Maintenance Provision Rating Scheme, which I know Kevin Rooney has spoken to you about this morning. So I do urge you just to pop that in the bottom left-hand corner as a favourite, in case anybody happens to look over your shoulder at very short notice. But one of the other things I've found by Googling on the internet is the hidden scandals and harsh realities of life in haulage. Now, there are a couple of trigger alerts. I am going to mention some things that are not very savoury, but we'll gloss over them. Who'd be a commercial vehicle driver? How many of you here have got HGV licenses, driver licenses? Okay, how was your electric truck, Charles? Did you enjoy it? It was good? I hope you've taken some photos. I've also driven a commercial vehicle, a Guinness lorry, but I'm glad to tell you it wasn't actually on a proper road, it was on a racetrack. Well, no, it wasn't actually a racetrack, I just pretended it was a racetrack. So what's it like being a commercial vehicle trucker? I don't particularly like the word. In this survey, which Chris did, he said 62% of truckers reported being pulled over. I don't believe that. I don't think DVSA are that, have got sufficient resources to do that. I'm thinking of entering politics. 56% have changed their clothes in their vehicle. We'll gloss over that one. Maybe they put their pyjamas on when they get ready for bed to sleep in their cab. And this is a scary one. Mark, close your eyes, cover your ears. 49% have texted while driving. What does that say about your policy regarding texting and using mobile phones whilst driving? I didn't know HGVs had bathrooms in them. They might have bottles, they might have other things, but having to be forced to do that in your HGV is not fabulous. I'm surprised it's only 42% of drivers were suffering from depression, and I say that quite seriously, because some of them may be suffering from it, but not actually realising. And back to our ablutions, 38% have cleaned themselves in a lorry, which means an awful lot don't bother. But let's not worry about those. 30% have confessed, Mark, shut your ears, or close, yes, what is it? Cover your ears and close your eyes. 30% have confessed to ignoring signs of fatigue and continuing to drive. It'll be okay. I'll get to the next service station. It's only half an hour away. I'll open the window. I can't say I'll put the air conditioning on because sometimes you don't have air conditioning. It's a window. Or I'll carry on to my destination, because in my life, ladies and gentlemen, I've met so many drivers who don't get tired. They've told me very proudly they don't get tired, and a bottle of Red Bull and some Pro Plus ensures they don't. Now something less savoury, ladies and gentlemen. It's probably time for the married truckers to be very careful. 26% met up with someone for casual, spontaneous physical encounters. I think they're playing table tennis at the side of the road. Some have hooked up with someone while on the road. I'm hoping that means they're hooking up their trailers, but I'm not quite sure. This is quite worrying. 23% of female truck drivers fearing for their safety compared to 8% of men. I love this one. Frisky activity, moving quickly on, going the whole hog, moving quickly on, engaging in something, managing stress, moving quickly on. Falling asleep at the wheel. And just to finish off, confessed to cheating on their partner while on the road. I don't know which of the activities it was, but it doesn't really matter. And if any of you want the name of a good divorce lawyer, then come to me and I can provide you with one. So my presentation is entitled Duct Tape Isn't a Compliance Strategy. Does anybody know what connects these? Any hands up if you know? This is meant to represent Apollo 13. Does anybody know who this is? I thought you might know, Guy. No? Oh, I've got you. Does anybody know who it is? He's a gentleman called Ed Smiley. And Ed Smiley is what's known as an improvisational genius. And he worked at a little organisation called NASA. And most of you in the room, regardless of age, will know about Apollo 13. You know the classic, Houston, we have a problem. And what had happened was that an oxygen tank had exploded. And oxygen in space is pretty essential, as you know. And it disabled the main module. So what they had to do was find somebody, somehow, somewhere, several million miles away on Earth to help them mend the problem so that they could once again get oxygen, or else it was going to be very unpleasant. And so what Ed Smiley did was he got his duct tape and he got his cardboard, because the problem was they had to connect a square-shaped, what's the word I'm looking for? A square-shaped pipe, that's the word I'm looking for, to a round-shaped pipe. And it's quite difficult. I don't do science. I'm a blagger and a bluffer, and I talk a load of rubbish. It's called doing the arts at university. And what he did was he improvised, and he made sure that he used the duct tape to connect them, and lo and behold, they all got home safely. What a hero. So should you rely on duct tape to get your driver home when you have a mission to accomplish, when they are not millions of miles away from home, but may as well be? How many improvisational geniuses have you got in your transport office? Just think about them for a moment and see who fit into the Ed Smiley category. So let's look at what those risks are on the road. Breakdowns, accidents. Mark will slap me across the chops and say, Beverley, they're called collisions or incidents. Oh dear, I've just sworn. I won't actually say it. Just in case, if I actually say it, it means somebody will have one. So I won't say it. Just remind you, if you do, you must tell your traffic commissioner. I know you don't want to, but you must. Other drivers, and you're going to see a very grainy video later. Don't worry, it's not the ones that Mark was looking at in the early hours, involving what happens with other drivers. And my old particular favourite with roadworks and diversions. So what do we do? What equipment, apart from duct tape, do we give our drivers when they go out on the road? Here's your delivery list. Good luck, you're on your own. There's no NASA. What's in yours? Because this is quite a noisy event, and that's good because noise means people. Oh, there it is. It's all right. I'm not great with technology, which is why I need my own Ed Smiley. I'm not going to do the whole audience participation. But what should be in your essential driver kit? One should never go anywhere without sweeties or some sort of sugar in case you're going to be stuck at the side of the road for some time. Now, a high-vis jacket. Who doesn't love a high-vis jacket? The team had the purple ones on when they were putting everything together, not because they needed it, but just because it's a good photo opportunity on LinkedIn. Not that I'm cynical, but you're supposed to wear it. And I saw a video the other day, which I was looking at, where a driver had an incident on the side of the road. I'm going to talk to you about more of that later. And he was driving a lorry, and fortunately, Mark, that was in a place where they still have hard shoulders. I know it's not Mark's job. He didn't take them all away. But they still have hard shoulders. And this guy was fortunate enough to have an incident where there was that. So he got out of his cab on the, which side do you get out of your cab on when you break down on the hard shoulder? This one? Yes. Let's go the other way. Yeah, no, near side. Absolutely. But not all drivers know that. Now, he got out on the near side and he held on to his high-vis jacket, which was great. But if he'd put it on, it might have had a bit more benefit. Water. If you haven't got water, I'll sell you this for 50p. Regrettably, the chap doesn't come with it, but the blanket. It was Alison who taught me about this when she had an incident in her car with her mother, and a nice police officer gave her mother a foil blanket. So we're going to be giving out free foil blankets on our training courses. Have you got one? Maybe not today, because we might feel like a roast turkey if we put it on today. I'm not going to go through all of those, obviously, because time's not on our side. First aid kits. Telephone. Why do we want our telephone? So we can text. Mark, I can't believe you call your lovely wife the Mrs. Yeah. Not so we can be texting while driving, 49% of us, but so that we can contact the emergency services. A notepad and a pen in case we have to take down some details. And for those of you that want to look really cool, a pair of Ray-Bans, although you might actually want to use them when the sun is causing us glare and we have difficulties. So what's in your essential driver toolkit, and have you made sure that they've got those? But what about your essential driver documents? There's this concept, it's novel, but you're supposed to do a walk-round check before you get in your vehicle. Now, you can do it on an app or you can do it on paper, but sometimes you might not be able to get a signal, or you might need to have a backup. I want to say spare tachograph rolls and toilet rolls, but I won't. Having looked at the previous survey, I'll just say spare tachograph rolls. Really important, because when it goes wrong, and it's one of my next slides, who are you going to call? And if it goes horribly wrong, a note with a next of kin and a contact number. How many of you have you got ICE in your phones? Some of you will gold stars. I've just got, daughter Kate. And a bump card or a bump pack, which is a bit of a euphemism, really. So who are you going to phone when it goes wrong? What are you going to do? What's your protocol? Do your drivers know what the protocol is when they have an incident? If they happen to hit a bridge, there you go, I've said it. On a motorway, why would we hit a bridge on a motorway, Beverley? Why would we hit a bridge on a motorway? Falling asleep, did you say? No, because generally the trailers are small enough to go under. But there is an issue now in the industry with regard to some trailers magically raising themselves. And this is common amongst quite a few operators that we are dealing with. Dr. Airbrakes are here today. They speak a foreign language. I need to go and speak to them later. But there are some major issues with certain trailers raising themselves. And therefore, the driver is completely innocent, has no clue until they hear a funny scraping noise. Who are they going to call? Where are they going to stop? What are they going to do? If it's some sort of other incident or collision, do they know who to phone and in what order? So let's just look. I know people like pictures, so let's just look at a couple of really extreme examples. It's not great, is it? Not great. As I understand it, they walked away, but they were very lucky. I'm going to show you some grainy video footage now, and this makes the point about other drivers, namely car drivers, the grey fleet, because most of those will have no clue about safe driving on motorways. Most of them won't have a clue about safe driving on dual carriageways, A roads, country lanes, and they'll think that the lorry can see them everywhere. This was a real case, it's real video footage, and it's from a long time ago when a lady, she happened to be either a trainee doctor or a vet, I can't remember which, it doesn't matter. She thought she could go onto the M6 in her Renault Clio and nip in before the Arclid transport driver did. What happened was this. I'll play it twice so you can see it. Now I'm hoping that it'll play. Can you see? The car's stuck on the front because that delightful lady thought she could just nip in. I dealt with the driver of that vehicle and I wanted to give him a medal because he acted absolutely impeccably when that idiot woman did that. All the national press came to the hearing. This is a long time ago in my former life when I was the TC. The national press wanted me to shout at him and make him look horrible and stupid and a horrible lorry driver. I actually wanted, as I say, to give him a medal because he acted as he should have done. And there was nothing he could have done to have prevented that woman doing that thing. So do your drivers know what to happen in the event of something like that? So what happens when it goes horribly wrong? There is an organisation called Driver First Assist, saving lives on our roads, and that's because there are lots of people who need to know what to do at the roadside to assist. So I do urge you to think about that. So we say to clients when we do our consulting work, please can you send us your road risk policy? What road risk policy, love? We don't have one. So how do you build your road risk policy? Well, my friend Mark here has got, not him personally, but Driving for Better Business has got a policy builder tool which you can use to start to build your own policies which will suit your business, your risks, your staff. So do think about that. And secondly, what Mark has told me is that they are developing a post-collision response package. And that might be something which dovetails nicely with driver first assist and your road risk policy. So will the duct tape approach suffice? I would venture to suggest not. I was never in the Girl Guides. I certainly wasn't in the Boy Scouts. I was in the Brownies. I was a sprite. But I'm still not ever so great at preparing, whereas Alison here prepares for her journeys. She checks her, pressure on her tyres. She makes sure that the washer's filled up. She does all those things. Her halo shineth brightly. And she's only driving a noddy car. But what about your commercial drivers? Make sure you give them the tools, make sure you give them the equipment, and most of all, make sure you give them the knowledge. The other video, and this is the point I'll finish, the other video I watched last week was of another driver. He was an agency driver, need I say more? Was he wearing his high-vis jacket? No. Did he carry his high-vis jacket? No. Did he break down on those hard shoulder things? No. He had an incident in a live lane, so he stopped in the live lane. Couldn't make it. Well, he could have done. He chose not to make it to, what do you call them? The emergency refuge area. And then I watched with my heart in my mouth as he waited to open his driver door in the live lane and get out. And he wanted to then go and examine his vehicle. Don't let that person be your driver. Thank you for inviting me. I hope the stuff at the beginning wasn't too shocking for you, and I hope the second part was helpful. Thank you very much indeed.